What's crack-a-lacking? Well, what is crack-a-lacking? Tell me.
I don't know.
You're just a wonderful, such a helpful co-host. So, yeah, Blade Runner's pretty good.
Which one are we talking about? Both or two separate?
Let's do just do Blade Runner first, then we'll do the second one later.
Yeah. In one thing.
Mm.
Like a multiple topic podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, first one, thoughts?
Fine. First hour I don't like at all, but second hour's great.
Really? Why do you like the first half?
The thing is, last night was my 5th attempt to watch Blade Runner. And before I'd only gotten 20 minutes in at most. It's like my 5th time. Only because I had to, because we were seeing the new one. And I think if we weren't going to see the new one, I wouldn't have bothered. Like, I would have stopped 25 minutes in.
I know.
Because it's really slow. There's barely any dialogue. And nothing really happens.
So that's kind of why I like the first half, because it's slow and atmospheric. But at the same time, I can see why you dislike
nothing really connects to the finale, because the finale just comes out of nowhere. Decker just finds them, like the other applicants. He doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, he finds Pris and Roy, doesn't he, in this sort of old apartment block.
He just finds them.
How does he get there again? I've forgotten.
They find. I don't know actually.
I'm trying to remember.
I bet we get there.
Because most of it does follow a sort of train of investigating and stuff. Is it? It's after they find out Tyrell's been murdered.
Yeah.
And it's after they find out Tyrell's been murdered, and they find the body of the guy who owns the apartment, so he goes there. I think that's logic. It's a great climax though, particularly the ending lines.
Yeah. The ending is great.
Also, just before we continue,
second hour is. But...
we're talking about the final cut version from 2007, not the other ones. So just to clarify,
not the 1,000 others which exist. The final cut's kind of like the generally accepted version.
Because that's the one Ridley Scott was most happy with.
I remember there was a cut that came out like last year. There was the one that came out last year that had like a release for a day or two. Like,
it was unnecessary, really.
No, not really, because everyone just accepted that the final cut is the version.
Yeah.
It just has one scene in, I think. It just has the unicorn scene.
It has the unicorn dream, and it also fiddles with a bunch of other things. Like, in the normal...
so to speak.
Yeah, in the theatrical version, there's... Deckard is narrating at the start, when he's, like, looking at the newspaper, but the final cut version takes it out, and it's better, actually, because it makes it way more atmospheric.
Yeah. I'm kind of like... I really like the setting.
Yeah,
the setting.
I'm actually going to say, can we talk about how bloody great this world building is?
Because in the new one, just to touch on that a minute, it feels way too big. It goes to too many places for it to take in.
The new one travels around more, and I think more importantly, the new one is more on the larger scale, while this one is very much street level.
Yeah, very ground.
Yeah, I mean, because of the budget restrictions, there's only 90 effect shots in the entirety of Blade Runner, but they're all
there's only 12,000 in the Hunger Games. Do you know that? Like 12,000. Wow.
Yeah, I can believe that. Because obviously with this one, it was all done with miniatures and stuff, and those things were expensive. Though admittedly, when they are done, they're used to good effect, like the Tyrell Corporation building.
Oh yeah, did you see that in the new one?
Yeah, it's in the new one, isn't it?
It's just complete. There's no lights on.
Yeah, it's like they kept it. It's kind of cool, good idea when it's like Wallace has absorbed, like the Wallace group's absorbed the corporation, so they would have kept the headquarters.
You see the old Tyrell building, and it's just a massive Wallace building.
Yeah, the huge
it.
one that's taken over. I think that's a very nice visual touch there.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the limitations, it all takes place on street level, and the sort of, the open sort of bars and the little shops and the crowds of people
Yeah.
And a very, very strong Japanese sort of design
Yeah, it's
influences.
very kind of cramped and together.
Yeah,
but not in a claustrophobic way.
No.
But more in a kind of. I kind of like this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Many people say the world of Blade Runner is a dystopia, but honestly, if it weren't for the killer androids, I would want to live in a city like that. It's so crowded.
Although
full
there are
of
only a
life
few
and
killer
people.
androids, so
It's fine. So I mean, of course, if you are a Blade Runner yourself, it's probably a bit of a hazardous occupation. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's so atmospheric, and it really feels like a world.
the rain adds to it.
Yeah, the rain.
Somehow.
I don't
know how that works, but it just does.
Yeah, the rain
Gives it more character.
The night sort, the dark lighting, smoke, and rain
Makes
really...
it all dank. Dank. You know,
Smoke
the one
weed.
time dank has been used as an actual word.
Smoke weed every day. Yeah, because dank did immediately just mean damp. Not anymore, of course. Now it's 420 blaze it, but still. Yeah, no, it's such a densely... It feels lived in. Because it's so densely packed and full of people. And I think 2049 does
It's not
achieve
clean.
that.
It's kind of got this
No,
grimy
it's
undertone.
very dirty. Like, it's, you know... There's...
Well, not overtone, really.
Yeah, like, literally dirty as in physically dirty. Like, the streets are
And
muddy
then
and
you've
there's
got,
rain everywhere.
You've got, like, Deckard's apartment, which... It doesn't have a window.
Yeah, I like that.
And the
sort of-
space you can see out of is just kind of like a ledge.
Yeah, you just see into the corridor. I like that touch, actually, the apartment not having a window, because it makes it feel... Because like, Deckard's apartment is like just a little sort of tiny little slummy block. Even then, they also do that in 2049, in that whilst Joe, I think we'll call him, his apartment does have a
Joe K.
Yeah, Joe K. Oh, sounds like a guy we know. His apartment does have a window, but all you can see is just the other apartment building across the street. So it's pointless. But yeah, Deckard's apartment is a great little environment.
What else is it? I mean, the thing about both Blade Runners, I have no idea what to think about just the plot in general, because...
I like it a lot.
I do like... I have no idea what to think about it.
I mean, I think both of them have a really interesting plot in terms of sort of science fiction musings on, you know, what makes us human, as it were.
The theme, from what I got, you probably, because you probably read more about the themes than I have. I think I remember reading like one theme that's apparent in Blade Runner 2049. It's like the "you are not special" kind of thing.
Yeah, the idea. Well, we'll get into that.
That's the only thing I caught from that one. But, and
me,
apparently there's meant to be loads. But...
Yeah, for me, I thought it was more an examination of, which was sort of hinted at in the first one, but 2049 really examines how memories make us human. Like, that's the thing. That's the sort of trite thing with, like, in the first one, Rachel discovering what she thinks are her memories are actually Tyrell's nieces. And that everything she's taught about her childhood didn't happen to her. That would actually be a pretty traumatic thing to happen to you psychologically. Because your whole sense of identity is built on what you remember.
These are not your memories, Michael. They're somebody else's. They're your cats, dogs, neighbours, uncles, brothers, sisters, dogs, neighbours, granddads, rapists, priests, same thing. Dogs, flowers, shit.
Priests, rapists, what's the difference? No, yeah, like the idea that memories maketh man and all that. So it's
Manners maketh man.
Yeah, I'm changing the quote because I'm edgy. I'm a guy with a fedora who
Is
goes
that an
on
actual
Reddit
quote?
Way too much. Manners maketh man, I think, is in a quote. Memories
I thought it was just made for Kingsman.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a quote at some point.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah, it's kind of an interesting. It's a very interesting sort of science fiction musing on the nature of being human. Which is also
what I got was like the blurred line between not knowing if you're human or not.
Yeah, that would really mess with you. Like, that's the thing.
It's like in the finale of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
On which they actually reference Blade Runner. It's like, you're not going to call Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Existential crisis and all. And of course, all the near constant hints that Deckard might be a replicant. But of course, they don't.
It's like one hint. It's like, although they do say, "Have you ever taken the test yourself, Deckard?" And I like to think that it's just a crisis of, is everyone a replicant? I don't know. Is everyone a replicant or something?
Yeah,
I kind of prefer it to that.
I know what
rather
you
just is Deckard a replicant?
I mean, I feel it's an interesting thing though, because
that's what they were going for. Like anyone could be a replicant.
Yeah,
and not just
I
is
think
Deckard a replicant.
that's the real idea. Like they're implying Deckard might be, but at the same time, the consequence of that
They're
thinking
implying
is
anyone could be. So.
Yeah, you can't know. That's the thing. Almost Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I mean,
really.
that's fine. It's apparent anyway. So I don't know why they force in the unicorn stuff, which is apparently meant to be this big clue.
The unicorn stuff is a bit weird and nonsensical.
Yeah, so
then again,
that's the only change.
Apparently, the original cut of this was weird and nonsensical and falls out 4 hours long, and I can't imagine how that would be like. But of course, another thing which I think really helps the amazing production design is the fact that they went to an insane amount of details when building the sets, to the point where there's like you can actually translate some of the graffiti from Chinese.
Like Klingon, they just made a language and went along with it.
Yeah, it's that kind of style. Like you can translate the graffiti from Chinese, and they actually came up with parking fares to put on the parking meters. No, they went to insane levels of detail.
They actually just parked in the wrong place, and they just got fined.
Yeah, and I like that kind of thing. That's really, really world building.
Really world building.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's something it does great. That's something it's really good at anyway. The world building.
What else is there?
Rutger Hauer, yeah.
I'm butchering that name. He's great. And have you ever heard of a film called The Hitcher?
No.
It's essentially he plays this guy who hitches a ride and just tries to kill this guy. He really threatens him with a knife in the car, but then the guy pushes him out, and then whilst this guy is driving across this kind of, it's like Duel, you know Duel.
Yeah, the Steven Spielberg one with the crazy
a
truck
lot
driver.
Better.
Oh.
And I really like Duel, but it's essentially he plays his mind games by framing him for stuff, and and unfortunately, just due to unfortunate just happenstance, the guy who's traipsing across the desert is in a car he needs to drop off to someone, and he hasn't got his ID on him, and the people who have hired him to do that they can't call them or contact them. So they think, and he thinks that the people who have been killed by the Hitcher have just been him. They keep framing him, and he's just playing these constant mind games with him.
That sounds really good, actually.
It is.
I think, yeah, the conclusion is...
And it's like, the guy doesn't care. He just wants to mess with this guy which is great. You never find out why. He just messes with him.
He's just doing it. I think that's, Rutger Hauer, as we can conclude, he's a great actor. You know, he actually improvised the, at the end, all those memories lost like tears in the rain. He improvised that. Yeah. That wasn't scripted. Guys, it's brilliant. Great ending. Classic.
The ending wasn't what I thought it would be, because I don't know why, but once Deckard got into that apartment, and it was just a really bare bones fight. They never actually go like fist fight, or they really.
Yeah, I kind of like that though, because it feels more like.
I know. I like that. It's just.
It's not a straight up fist. It's a fight, but not a straight up fist
fight. It's more mental, really.
Yeah, it's more Roy is messing with him and sort of hunting him and deliberately letting him
playing with his food.
Yeah, he's playing with him before he finally kills him.
He's just following him, and you can see he's finally dying because he's just ran out now.
Yeah,
and you can see him. He just stabs like a nail into his hand to get the feeling back.
Yeah, because he's hit the end of his manufactured lifespan. And he's desperately trying to...
Which is also a nice parallel, because, you know, you've got Deckard, whose hand is pretty much broken.
Yeah, he breaks... Oh, I got him in the finger-breaking scene. It's actually pretty brutal.
Yeah, and it's a nice parallel between them. It's like both their hands are kind of mutilated.
Mutilated in some way, but for different purposes.
Yeah.
And I got him at the actual, like, sort of the climbing around the roof sequence is pretty hard in mouth, actually.
It seems to be hinted that he doesn't really want to kill him, he just wants to mess with him before he dies.
It really does seem more
because killing him, there won't really be any point.
Yeah, it really does seem like he's less... I think as he says, I could kill you, but then I wouldn't be able to play the game. which I think there's sort of he's really just trying to mess with him to get his revenge more because he killed all his mates.
Well, it's his job, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, that sort of brings the point of, yes, it's his job, but it doesn't necessarily make it right.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you like about the first hour? Because I got nothing out of it.
For me, it was just the atmosphere, the world. You really get the feel that the characters are grounded in this world, and it's a proper place. Stuff like when he's sitting in the noodle bar. And the rain's dripping off the canopy around him.
With the plot is that nothing really matters because he's looking for this woman who we never find out why, and never find out why exactly he's looking for this person.
Who?
It's like he's looking for this person who is in the mirror.
No, that's because he recovered the snake scale, and he's connected it to that lady. So then he,
with the
snake,
really bizarre zooming in camera, despite him not actually.
Oh yeah,
the camera's not actually for the way that he actually looks around it. There's no way he could possibly get into the camera angle.
No, it
goes around like a pole.
Yeah, that's one of my criticisms of this film. It's got a really dumb zoom and enhance sequence. That's one of the few criticisms. But yeah, because he retrieves the snake scale, sees the lady with the snake, and goes off to find her, doesn't he?
I don't know why I've got your telescope.
Neither do I. It's a little telescope. Ow. I hit my nose on the telescope. But yeah, that's... I saw the logic in that sequence. Also, fun fact, it took them 3 hours to glue all those sequins to her. Which I found pretty funny. I mean, just imagine standing there 3 hours while people just glue sequins to you.
Well, you would enjoy it.
It wouldn't be fun. I think also one of the things is in the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, it's mentioned that almost all animals have gone extinct at that point, and that's heavily referenced in both films, though never actually outright said.
Yeah, it's like I've never seen a tree before.
Yeah, and what's the line? It's like, is the snake real? Do you think it would be... If I had a real snake, do you really think I'd be working in a place like this?
Yeah.
And the artificial owl thing.
Oh yeah. It's like, is that a real owl? Of course not.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. I think the book mentions that owls were one of the first species to go extinct. But yeah, it's that's also something I like with 2049 because someone's yelling for us. As I was saying,
I'll do it. You talk.
Yeah, okay. That's one of the things I liked with 2049 because you can clearly see that a series of ecological disasters are rendering the landscape bleak and depressing.
You keep talking. I'll open the door. You distract him.
I'll distract them whilst he deals with this.
There we go.
Yeah, I particularly like that element. Do you want this other one too?
Yeah. It's gonna sound really weird.
He's taking dishes downstairs. Just ignore him. But what was I thinking of? Again, though, with this film, it all just comes back to that wonderful atmospheric nature of it. Again, I love the noodle bar scene because the sort of the people wandering around with the glow sticks on their umbrellas and the flashing neon lights and the rain pouring off the overhang as he sits there getting a drink, and the guy who comes up to talk to him. It works. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. It just works, and I really do think it's a masterfully put together film. Just the huge amount of attention to detail, which is
the Newt Caboot has returned.
Yes, he has. But which is, as I was saying, which is Ridley Scott's sort of trademark. He's a serious perfectionist, that guy.
Yeah, what were you on about?
I was just talking about the huge amount of detail.
Oh, right.
God, you know what? So it's really... Also, like many great films, this one had an incredibly troubled production.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there were multiple times where they lost funding. I think at one point... And the final scene was only finished hours before Ridley Scott was due to get fired from the project. It was a really close call. And though Philip K. Dick only actually saw the first 20 minutes before he died in, I think, March 1982.
Did he die watching it?
No.
That'd be really funny
But
if he died.
from what he said of the first 20 minutes, apparently he absolutely loved it and thought it was a really faithful adaptation of the book. So, you know...
I really stopped having never read the book.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. Ridley Thought.
Ridley Scott equals thought. Confirmed. Begone, thought.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, he did Alien Covenant, so...
Yeah,
have you seen the cover of the DVD of that?
Yeah, Alien Covenant's got a really weird cover.
It's just the really shit look. It's just YMS's thumbnail for his review of it.
Yeah, it was like the main poster.
That's pretty much it.
I don't. It's a weird.
Just use the original poster.
I mean, like what? Yeah, so the original poster was like that sort of weird mural thing.
Yeah,
it's sort of the crowds of humans and the xenomorphs.
I know it's the one on Christmas Day, which I remember was the first thing I did on Christmas Day, because nobody likes you open your presents immediately as you wake up. That never happens.
How unfortunate. How unfortunate.
So that was the first thing I did because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll talk about why Alien Covenant is bad and why Alien is great later.
You haven't even seen it yet.
No, I haven't, but everything I've seen about it makes it look...
It's not good.
Do you know what I've really been meaning to watch, but kind of don't want to on principle?
What?
Prometheus. Because...
I like Prometheus.
Can I get... No, okay, but I need to get on my soapbox for a minute here. They fucked up the space jockey. The whole point of that guy in Alien is he's this strange biomechanical creature who's fused into his own ship and designed to pilot it, some sort of weird result of genetic engineering. But oh wait, no, it's just a spacesuit and they're all fucking albino bodybuilders. I mean, I don't mind the engineers and they're a cool idea, but if you made them a separate race...
This is on topic, it's Ridley Scott.
Yeah, if you made them a separate race to the space jockey Ridley, then that would be more interesting, because the whole point is the weird trunk-like protuberance from its nose and the ribcage fusing into the chair. It's a strange, unknowable alien life form, and explaining what it is ruins the mystery.
Most of the problems with Prometheus come from being an alien film.
Yeah, ruining the mystery.
Same with Alien Covenant.
The idea of Prometheus on its own is great. I'd watch a film about that. The problem is it's in the Alien franchise, and a lot of the stuff that happens just fucks it up.
Ridley Scott is the George Lucas of our generation.
He's turning into George Lucas, yeah. He better make something good soon, otherwise
Martian.
Oh yeah, good point. That was an adaptation.
Fair point.
Then again, so was
Blade Runner.
And it's not Lindelof. Yeah, so was Blade Runner though, so... But,
Lindelof was Blade Runner?
No, I was saying that Blade Runner was also an adaptation, and that was great.
It kind of makes you think he can only do adaptation. There was that really crap period in like the mid-2000s that he had.
Oh, yeah, God.
It was like it was like after Gladiator, the way to up before The Martian.
Yeah,
apparently was his crap period. I kind of like Prometheus, so that's where it ends.
What else did he do then?
That Robin Hood thing.
Oh God,
Kingdom of Heaven, which no one liked until the director's cut came out and everyone loved it.
Oh yeah,
so
it's one of those films.
Well, I don't think it was the director's cut. It was like a different cut or something.
Yeah. Like they release a definitive edition or extended edition. You want to get closer to the mic as well. Your voice is.
Oh yeah. Enough. Let me just find the other films he did.
But also, while we're drifting off topic in regards to Ridley Scott, what was I going to say about Prometheus? Yeah, the problem with Prometheus is it doesn't feel like an alien film, and a lot of stuff that happens is kind of inconsequential. Like, Elizabeth Shaw turns out to be dead in Covenant anyway, and, the Deacon is never seen or mentioned again. You have no idea what happened to it.
He's the 10th highest grossing director of all time.
Okay. Who's the first?
Probably George Lucas. Or Steven Spielberg, I guess.
My money's on Spielberg. Let's find out.
Yeah. Having to shout.
Yeah, keep yourself heard on the mic. Good idea.
Directors, there we go. Spielberg.
Called it.
And then Michael Bay, because of course he is.
Oh no, not Michael Bay.
Then Robert Zemeckis.
Fair enough.
Then James Cameron. Then
Avatar 3, the Avataring.
And then Peter Jackson.
Makes sense, Lord of the Rings and all that.
Howard. Then George Lucas. I was way off.
That's quite large. Though.
Then Tim Burton, which
Yeah, I believe that.
does actually make a lot of sense. Thank you, Wilson. He's done a lot of.
Tim Burton is very prolific.
He's done a lot of kind of like 500 million.
Yeah, he's
films.
Tim Burton's quite prolific, and he can generally sell like things.
He's got his own style. Then Chris Columbus.
Well,
where is Ridley Scott on this list?
Chris.
He's apparently 16 on this list.
Really?
And then
let's check.
Christopher Nolan.
Oh yeah, Christopher Nolan. Yeah,
then
boy.
Sam Raimi. Then George Verbinski. Who did, Cure for Wellness.
Oh yeah, that guy. He's sort of tailed off recently. Wait,
Clint Eastwood.
Oh.
Then the guy who did a load of Toy Story stuff, like Finding Nemo and everything. And then David Yates, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. How what was I gonna say? The guy who did Cure for Wellness, Gore Verbinski.
Yeah.
Was he the same guy who did an Infomaniac who said he could sympathise with Hitler?
That was Lars von Trier.
Oh yeah, Lars von Trier said in a panel he could sympathise with Hitler.
I'm sure he was a nice guy.
I mean, yes, okay, Hitler was apparently very charming in person, but that doesn't make...
Ridley Scott directed 2 films in 2001.
That's impressive.
They've Hannibal. The crap Hannibal.
Oh no. Here we go, it's an interesting one. This is still on... This has gone less Blade Runner, more Ridley Scott in general, but...
Oh yeah, Exeter's Gods and Kings, which I own on DVD for some reason.
That was Ridley Scott?
That was Ridley Scott.
What happened, Ridley? Where did it go so wrong?
Did you watch that?
No.
Oh.
But...
How did he go from... He did G.I. Jane in 1997.
How did you go from Blade Runner and Alien and classics of science fiction cinema to fucking Exodus, Gods and Kings? Well, I think the real problem is, though, and this is more addressing Alien. People seem to assume that Ridley Scott is the only reason Alien is good, and he's not. Because the reason Alien is good is Ridley Scott's great direction. What's his name? Oh, I've forgotten the scriptwriter's name. The scriptwriter, basically, I'll check.
Scriptwriter.
Alien.
He's got another film coming out this week. This week? What? Ridley Scott.
Oh yeah, of course, Dan O'Bannon. So yeah, Ridley Scott's great direction, Dan O'Bannon's brilliant script, the amazing actors of the crew Nostromo, and H.R. Geiger's visual design. Combined make the film great. Like, each factor is important, but it's all of them together that make it good, not just Ridley Scott directing it. If he hadn't directed it, it would have been as good, but it's still a factor.
He's got another film coming out, which I think I mentioned in the DVD thing.
What is it?
It's All the Money in the World, where Kevin Spacey plays
the
richest guy in the world.
I recall
who has to pay this ransom for like his daughter or something, but can't, otherwise he won't be the richest man in the world.
No, yeah, I think I mentioned that because I saw the trailer for it. So he plays.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Didn't you?
It's Kevin Spacey's David Getting. That looks
It's an Oscar film.
It's an Oscar film, but it also looks very good.
Yeah.
Because as they say, Kevin Spacey is the best at playing the smartest guy in the movie.
Oh yeah.
What's the
Rick and Morty porn parody? Dick and Morty is Rick's weirdest alternative dimension. Watch.
Okay, apparently that's on here. Best not. Anyway, I found this thing that was all Ridley Scott films ranked worst to best. So let's see.
We're really going off topic. Let's go.
Okay, so 21st is 1492, Conquest of Paradise.
A Ridley Scott film nobody has heard of, let alone seen.
Yeah, it's something about Christopher Columbus, and it's not very good. I
think we should move on from that one.
Yeah.
Then Robin Hood.
Is that Russell Crowe?
Yes.
God, he looks stupid in that picture.
Yeah.
Black Rain.
It's about black people.
It's from the late 80s. Yeah, it's sort of set in Tokyo. There's something about a car.
I thought they said reduced to being a gay who needs to be taught how to play stuff.
No. Oh, Hannibal.
Oh yeah, the other crap Hannibal alongside Hannibal Rising.
Hannibal Rising.
A good year. Someone to watch over me.
It's one of the dullest. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. Someone to watch over me. generic cop thriller.
Legends with Tim Curry as the devil. So
also he's a really crap looking devil.
Wow.
It looks more like a good Halloween costume. Legend was Scott's second film in a row to suffer from studio mandated cuts.
Let me guess, is that Blade Runner?
I think Blade Runner was just
that was 85.
Blade Runner also went horribly over budget.
Yeah.
Body of Lies, passable if forgetting
G.I.
a spy
Jane.
thriller. Handful of provocative questions at the centre of his narrative. Should women be able to serve in the military? Neither of which it bothers to ask.
Never bothers to ask.
It never asks why to military men are sexist shitheads that oppose Demi Moore's determined Navy SEAL candidate so much as it makes sex them to be overcome and fought. Literally, she kicks shit out of them. That said, G.I. Jane's middle section focusing on training is viscerally exciting stuff. Overlong and dumb, but a lot of fun. White Squall.
Is it about... Should that be alongside Black Rain as the racism?
Yeah, it's not interesting.
And then G.I. Jane should be the sexism thing.
American Gangster, which is also from the mid-2000s dry period, 2007.
Then Prometheus.
Which you said you kind of like.
I do kind of like. Gladiator, which...
I'm kind of surprised to see
I've seen Gladiator.
I don't know.
It's one of those films where I think I've seen it, I'm not sure.
I've always been meaning to watch Gladiator, it looks good.
And only on DVD. I thought they said expansiveness of the film setting with the transphobic constricted chambers.
Yeah, I think this is the best way it does it. Gladiator does almost nothing new with the Roman epic, but what it does do, it does exceedingly well. Revives a dead genre by marrying Saving Private Ryan intensity to old-fashioned spectacle in its battle sequences. I gotta admit, that does look pretty good, actually.
Who drank my water?
You.
Oh.
Matchstick Men.
Modestly sized.
Oh, it's got Nicolas Cage in it.
Oh!
Yeah, boy.
Next one.
Black Hawk Down.
Next one.
The Counselor.
The Counselor's meant to be complete shite. Oh.
Well, it will also receive poisoning by both the public and a number of critics. With Salon.
The worst movie ever made.
Yeah, Andrew O'Hara called it.
I know Mark Kermode hates it. It was like his second worst film.
Yeah, it's got a cult following though. After the release of the extended cut, of course.
Oh, of course.
The Duelists.
That was his first.
That was his very first one.
The one before Alien.
Yeah, this is the one.
I wonder what his top 4 is gonna be.
The Duelists is sort of what earned him his name. Like,
wait,
so he was trusted with doing.
They haven't put Exodus, Gods and Kings on there yet.
Either this hasn't been updated or I think it's a good movie. I'm gonna hope it's the first one. Thelma and Louise.
The one about possible lesbians.
I don't know. It's not too bad apparently. Kingdom of. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
No, it won't be on there then.
Theatrical version of Kingdom of Heaven is a mess. Its pacing is choppy, its characters poorly defined, its subplots go nowhere, and its commentary on modest religious conflict thin. The film's director's cut is close to a masterpiece.
Because of course it is.
Blade Runner, gone from cult classic to nearly universally acknowledged masterpiece. Visually dense. Yeah,
I'm dense.
I'm completely agreeing this. I'm completely agreeing with this. It's yeah, it is great, Blade Runner, and of course the best science fiction film ever, Alien. Also,
I thought the best science fiction film ever was The World's End.
No, it's Alien.
Ah.
World's End is best science fiction comedy.
Well, it's not what I mean.
Which is a pretty small genre, but it's still great.
There's still a lot of them in there.
Yeah, most of them are bad though.
I just saw the Ebola outbreak and I was thinking, has he done a film about Ebola? No, it's cancelled though.
This is basically
the utterly baffling Monopoly movie.
What? Okay. Well, let's see. Odds and ends. Yeah, this was before Exodus, Gods and Kings came out.
I find it odd when people do rankings just before a new one comes out.
Yeah, this is. They also.
Oh yeah, he did that Apple commercial.
They also mention The Martian, producing the sequel to Blade Runner, and also directing the Prometheus sequel, which is actually Alien Covenant.
Oh.
What was it? Scott also well worth checking out the film school project Boy and Bicycle and his Apple commercial in 1984.
He also has a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
How many shorts did he do?
Scott also a pair of shorts. That's not a sentence. And also there's a bunch which he almost did, like a bowler outbreak thriller, Strange Ones, a remake of the Red Riding trilogy, and a Monopoly board game movie. That's dumb.
Which still somehow is being made, I think.
No, it's not, is it?
Last time I heard, it hadn't been cancelled, but...
Hey, look, we've got an advert for this genius Game of Thrones theory about Jon Snow.
Should we get back to Blade Runner?
No, can I say, this genius Game of Thrones theory about Jon Snow and the White Who Gives a Fuck. Oh, as we're saying, Blade Runner's great. Watch it. Actually, okay, I'm assuming you haven't watched it already. I do agree with you, though. The first hour is a bit hard to get into, and it's quite slow.
Especially considering that, like... it really, I don't know, because the final confrontation is meant to be like what the whole thing's been building up to, but everything Deckard's been doing has almost nothing to do with it in terms of leading up to it. He's killing the other like replicants, but nothing leading up to this actual thing.
It's building in that sense, but at the same time, he's also like he only actually finds Pris and Roy because Roy kills Tyrell.
There's no build up for him facing these two exact people. Like, except for the fact that, he needs to retire the replicants. That's about it.
Admittedly, the scene where Tyrell gets killed is actually really brutal.
Oh yeah.
I'm generally.
I always thought that like the pressing into the eyes came from 28 Days Later.
No,
because that's kind of a signature thing for 28 Days Later.
Yeah, pressing into the eyes has kind of been around in content for a while. It's also really fucking.
I'm guessing that Danny Boyle watched.
Generally, I'm not too icky about gore, but that really got to me. That was unnervingly brutal.
So is A Cure for Wellness, because that film gets let's just say
a bit weird.
Not just weird, not just a bit, quite uncomfortable. There's a bit where no anaesthetic, someone has to drill their tooth out.
Ooh, nasty.
Like, it actually drills right into the middle of the tooth. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just completely, it's gone. They just drill it, no anaesthetic.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
And they show it. They actually, not actually show one getting, but as close as they can to actually showing it.
You know what they mean, yeah.
And putting a tube right through down someone's throat into their stomach, and then putting eels through them.
The fuck?
It's weird, but it's really uncomfortable when you watch it.
Yeah, I'd imagine it will be. That's really fucking
I get
weird.
why people don't like it. I just really like it because of how weird and odd it is.
I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not here to talk about A Cure for Wellness. We're here to talk about Blade Runner.
We should, though, at some point, if you watch it.
I'm not fucking watching it. Sorry, I have my limits. There are some things which I'm not much.
You don't really want to watch.
Yeah,
You're interested, you just don't want to.
Yeah, a lot of the time that's got a big sort of hearing about that. It does have big flashing want to avoid signs for me.
What else is there to talk about Blade Runner? Because like 20 minutes of this has just been talking about other stuff.
It is Ridley Scott's work. Well, again, the incredibly, the great production, sound design, also I think the plot itself is certainly quite interesting in the way it examines it's very morally dubious as well. Like, what Deckard's doing, it's not really heroic. It's actually pretty.
They don't actually just go all out on that. They do in like 2049.
2049 really points out how morally, how morally.
You never really get how morally wrong this is.
Yeah,
until like the ending.
I think what's the line in 2049? It's like, how does it feel to kill one of your own kind? Which is
it's like I've never terminated a human before. Is there any difference?
Yeah, stuff like that. It's quite. It really gets quite.
Which they directly acknowledge they are killing people.
Yeah, that's the thing. They make it quite clear that's the thing. I think that's sort of more the evidence of how the attitudes have changed between the two films in the world. Because in 2019,
30 years,
right. In 2019 in Blade Runner, replicants aren't considered people. they're treated as second-class slave labourers, and they're not treated as people at all.
Imagine
That's why Deckard's job is to retire them.
So imagine Blade Runner as like black and white people in the 60s and 2049 in the 70s.
Yeah.
60s, a lot of segregation, a lot of just racism, just a casual, just everybody's racist pretty much.
Yeah.
And then 70s, there are a lot of people who aren't, but they just do live together.
Yeah.
But they kind of coexist while hating each other at the same time.
Yeah, 2049 has a thing of, replicants are accepted, but a lot of people are still kind of uncomfortable around them. I also like the way 2049 does build on the history of the world and stuff, with introducing those new elements of the...
Should we rate Blade Runner? Because I don't like the first hour, but I really, really like the second hour.
Yeah.
The pacing is really... you said it's got that dreamlike. Actually, it's a problem I have with the score, because a lot of the time it's really heavy synth, and then sometimes it's just violins and stuff.
It's Vangelis who did the score.
Yeah,
to be fair though,
they do clash a lot.
You see, I think
there's only 3 scenes with full-on synth in.
You see, I think they're combined quite well, and I also love the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack's great. They don't. There's 1 or 2 bits where it's just orchestral stuff, and then 1 bit where it's just all synth.
Yeah,
fine.
Certainly, I don't know.
But when they are together, they're great. It's just a lot of the times it's either just synth or just orchestral stuff.
They feel a bit juxtaposed, sort of. I don't know. I've got to admit though, I do love the soundtrack for the opening shot of Los Angeles with the sort of synth notes straining through. That's great. But I also kind of like the way it opens with a text scroll. I know it sounds like a weird thing, but...
Well, no. Is it a crawl?
Blade Runner it is, 2049 is not.
Yeah.
And again, it's
when the Blade Runner thing, it was just Blade Runner left. Did you think it was going to say 2049 at the end?
I was kind of expecting it to add to 2049, yeah. Then it didn't, I was like, you have taken this from me, title card. Nah.
So, what do you think of Blade Runner overall then?
I think it's really good. I really love it. It's it's this wonderfully atmospheric. It's a wonderfully atmospheric sci-fi noir with great production design, brilliant actors, and what is a pretty intriguing story, especially at the climax.
Out of 10, I guess.
I'm gonna say 9.
No,
I really love it.
Okay, now if you know me from elsewhere, I'm not one to I'm not one to stay with popular opinion.
No,
you're
such a fucking hipster.
I am, which is fine, honestly. I mean, anyone who likes Scott Pilgrim's automatically a hipster anyway.
But Scott Pilgrim's great.
Exactly.
Scott Pilgrim isn't disliked because everyone I know who's seen it thinks it's great.
I know,
it's just not too well known.
It's one of those films where if you like it, you're a hipster, even if you're not a hipster. Yeah. It's weird like that.
Right, I need to grow a pretentious beard and wear a fedora.
Oh yeah, and wear plaid.
Oh no. And drink coffee.
No!
Because I always think there are 2 breeds of hipster. The kind-hearted, friendly hipster.
Hi.
Who has a cool beard and maybe wears a slightly stupid hat, but he's still a pretty nice guy. And he may drink a bit too much coffee, but he's a nice guy. And then you have the really pretentious douchebag hipsters who only like things if other people don't, and the moment something becomes popular, they immediately start hating it. Those kind of
the people who hate Rick and Morty because it's popular. Now.
Yeah, those guys who are who really annoyed that it's not their little special thing anymore.
I will admit, Rick and Morty, it wasn't as good. I think the writing's kind of, it's dipped a bit. It's still good, but
oh yeah, no, it's still better than a lot of stuff you'll find on TV.
Yeah, it's just
even the worst episodes of Rick and Morty are still better than
most. It's just
not
as had its complete high points as
it's not. It didn't hit some of the creative peaks of series 1 and 2, but it still had some great episodes. Particularly,
it's gone past its peak in popularity. It hasn't, but
I don't know. I still think they might be able to do something pretty good with Series 4.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we won't know until...
until 2 years.
2019, funnily enough.
Yeah. I'm not one to fit with popular opinion. I mean, there are films that I think are all right, which everyone will crucify me for. And like, it's like all right, I'm gonna say I give Blade Runner like a 6, but I see you turning. I see.
For those who don't know, I have my bitch the fuck face here. The fuck? What the fuck?
Right, I don't like the first half. I think the second half is great, but there's a lot of films that I have this exact same opinion on. Like the original Star Wars, the exact same thing for me. And it's just too iconic that I can't really enjoy it without thinking of other things. I think that's this problem for me. Like Children of Men, I don't get it.
Children
the
of Men.
cinematography is great. What else am I supposed to say about it? It's fine.
Children of Men's the one in like the post-apocalypse where everyone becomes sterile or something. Isn't it?
With Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah, I know very little about it.
Yeah, with apparently like some of the best cinematography ever. Which maybe I won't go that far, but the cinematography in that is great. I don't think it's one of the greatest films of all time or whatever. But it's like a 6 as well. But same with Blade Runner for me, honestly.
Now you see, personally, as a big sci-fi nerd and big huge fan of science fiction, this is one of my favourite science fiction films. Only
as a sci-fi nerd, it makes your dick hard, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. For me, as a sci-fi film, Blade Runner is only beaten by Alien for me, which is also Ridley Scott, funnily enough.
I wonder if your least favourite will probably be like Alien Covenant or something.
No. Fuck Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
Oh, have you seen that?
No, but I've read extensive plot synopsis, watched multiple clips, and I have such a loathing for it that I refuse to watch it on principle.
The only 3 Alien films I've actually seen are Alien, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch Aliens, and
we were, but we didn't have time.
Yeah, we never got around to it.
I still have it on DVD. So.
Oh no! Next time we do this, I have a reluctant urge to see what Alien 3 is like, and
that will be an interesting experience.
I know a lot about Alien 3 and the plot and the various cuts they did of it and stuff, and it's a really
various cuts.
Yeah. Alien 3 is one of those cases where I had a really troubled production and it wasn't good. Which is because it was David Fincher's first film.
He just rejects it.
He hated working on it. He hates it now, and he quit the moment they finished shooting. He wasn't involved in the editing at all, and that's why it doesn't.
Which is understandable.
Yeah,
honestly.
and that's why That's why the sort of definitive version of Alien 3 is called the assembly cut, because the director wanted nothing to fucking do with it.
It's like I remember when Chris Stuckman was doing his reviews of David Fincher films before Gone Girl.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't going to do Alien 3 because David Fincher said that wasn't his film.
No, I don't blame him. Alien 3 suffered from enormous studio interference too. That was the real problem.
Which I don't mind when people kind of disown their film, but when they say, "Oh, this wasn't my original vision," a lot of the time they just disown it. It's like, "No, I didn't do that." A lot of the time it's just, "Oh, they thought it was good, but then they realised it was bad, so they just disowned it." Which I don't really like it when people do that, because it's like when you're doing a test and you just do corrections and say, "Oh, it was like that all along."
That's a good point, actually. It does feel like that.
Yeah, it's just like post-revisionism.
Revisionism. Revisionism can be quite
like
interesting.
1984.
Yeah, that's quite a disturbing similarity, actually. Rewriting history.
Yeah.
And, you feel... the worst part is sometimes I feel like some people in the world would want to do that.
Like Michael Bay with Transformers 2, which is understandable, honestly.
Yeah. You can't blame him there. But,
that's one of the few exceptions.
We've completely gone off track now.
Sort of.
Yeah, Blade Runner is...
Alien, Blade Runner, Ridley Scott.
Okay, let's put it this way. Go watch Alien, it's great. Go watch Blade Runner, it's great, though I understand if you can't get into it. And to be fair...
I know that comment's pointed at me.
I know.
I love Alien.
I know I've given Blade Runner a 9 out of 10, but to be fair...
I've just realised I give Prometheus a higher score than this. I need to rewatch Prometheus.
You can tell his opinions are kind of fucked if he's thinking that.
This is like a 20 Prometheus got like a 2015 score I gave it, and then this is now, so I've got to rewatch Prometheus.
Well,
I might hate it this time.
For me, I've sort of got way more harsher when giving marks out of 10 for the films. So giving this a 9 out of 10
that's just what happens when you get older.
Is a pretty big fucking thing, from my opinion. Because what other films would I give that to?
What, a 9?
Yeah. I don't know there's anything I'd give a 10.
I'm trying to rewatch a load of films that I gave a 9 because 9's just kind of become this thing where
what other films
I've just given loads of things 9s.
What? Yeah, I know what you mean. I did that. What are the other films I would give a 9? The Empire Strikes Back.
I think I give
Alien.
that 8,
what else? Maybe, possibly Back to the Future 2.
Blade Runner, you said.
Blade Runner, of course. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, I give that 9 as well.
In fact, 10 Cloverfield Lane might be worthy of a 10, but I don't know.
There's one film which I gave a 9, which is just like this close to being a 10. Baby Driver.
Yeah. Actually, Trainspotting I would give a 9 too.
I think I give that a 10 actually.
And actually no, Trainspotting's a 10. Alien's probably a 10 too.
I need to rewatch Baby Driver. That's pretty much the only thing stopping it from a 10 for me. Because I don't like changing my rating unless I really can justify it.
Yeah, something sort of you gain a new angle or something.
Yeah, or it's like, or I rewatch it. That's the only. I guarantee you, if I rewatch Baby Driver when it comes out on DVD in November, which I think
November. That's a bit fucking late, isn't it?
It's like it's already came out, and it's weird with that.
Oh, it's American release, isn't it?
The studios. It's Universal, so they release it earlier there.
You bloody Americans!
It's because of the licensing and everything.
Of course, you see, we do get an advantage because we also get each Star Wars film comes a day earlier in the UK because
which is great because I saw Force Awakens at midnight.
Lucasfilm make heavy use of
it's
filming studios
they're in Pinewood. So
yeah, they make a very heavy use of Pinewood in the UK, and as part of the deal with the contract, they made it so that they have to release them a day earlier.
Marvel do that a lot as well, which is funny because I remember a podcast saying, you know how we get Captain America early?
Yeah.
It's only fair when they do a Union Jack film that it comes out earlier in comes out earlier in the US.
I gotta admit, if they do a film about Union Jack, I really hope they get a British person to make that and just make it just like British patriotism the film. Do you reckon Union Jack should have a sidekick who's Scottish? That would be great.
Not like a Welsh one. See, it's a sidekick. He's tiny. Get it?
No. Dude, you understand? We don't need a Welsh sidekick. Wales doesn't really matter. No, to be fair,
that's the point. He's a sidekick. It don't matter.
Yeah, but no. Can you see? I would say Scotland because Scotland is
at least Robin's Batman's gay lover.
Robin and Batman engaging in their rigorous bumhole exercise. No, I mean, Scotland does have its own unique, recognisable culture, which can't really be said for Wales.
Yeah,
Northern Ireland, I think.
Frankie Boyle and Trainspotting. That's pretty much their culture.
According to if Trainspotting is right, every single Scottish person is a violent alcoholic,
and they have the worst toilet in.
The worst toilet in Scotland. Oh God! You know they use chocolate sauce. That's what it's all covered in, chocolate sauce. Oh yeah, the worst toilet in Scotland. Oh.
You see the bits as well, which
it's so disgustingly detailed, that scene.
Oh, but you love it.
Yeah. So Union Jack film, please Marvel. Do you know the other thing that thinking about Brian made me think of? I've been watching that Black Panther trailer a bunch because I really like it. I think it's a really well made trailer.
I don't even know I've seen it yet.
It's worth watching. It's a really well made trailer actually. But because I always feel the art of trailer editing is kind of underappreciated, really.
Like that one cut I was talking about earlier in the Last Jedi one, where it cuts from like the things shooting red out of them to Finn, so it looks like he's in them or he's piloting them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a bit annoying.
So when the shot after that's Poe, so why can you have Poe before? Which would make sense as he's a pilot. I
agree. That's a bit strange.
And it could be shown he's running towards Finn. It would just make more sense.
Yeah, it's because of the way the shot. I think it's more because of the order the shots are in the actual film. Of course, with Last Jedi, I think I prefer the first Last Jedi trailer because of how the way it's edited and also the way it combines with the orchestral score, which I believe was actually what isn't a melding together of different pieces. It was actually specially composed by John Williams.
They did that with the Force Awakens, didn't they?
Yeah, and it really works in that Last Jedi trailer because the way it combines different motifs for the shots.
I feel like they've purposely done them very similar to the Force Awakens one.
I don't know. All I know is they're really well edited.
They've got very similar beats in terms of.
And I think that's why I also love the Blade Runner 2049 trailers. I thought they were really well done. And I think you should a good trailer generally goes underappreciated. But what I was saying was the Black Panther trailer has Martin Freeman in it, but he's speaking in an American accent. And I remember
that was
and it's really fucking weird because I'm so used to hearing a British accent from him. Seeing him talking with an American voice is just like.
That was so weird because he was in Civil War for like 5 minutes. That was so weird.
What the fuck?
It felt like my ears were breaking off.
But
it's really good.
Yeah.
That's the point.
He does a really convincing accent, better than Benedict Cumberbatch's, I think. He
was kind of doing this. Opening his mouth really wide and kind of chewing his words like Hugh Laurie does.
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. I think in Doctor Strange
they're good accents. It's just you can tell how they're doing it.
In Doctor Strange, sort of Benedict Cumberbatch's accent sort of goes from slightly American to very American. It wavers in between.
It feels like they're putting on an accent, but it still is an accent. But it's like acting, but it's acting.
I know what you mean.
It's like that point. It's not actual real acting. You don't know it. You don't feel like it's acting,
like
whilst you're watching it. Unlike, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like I don't think of an Oscar bait film. It's like you've got that one specific scene. I like The King's Speech, but it's a really Oscar bait film, and you can see the specific scenes.
You see, the actor. I know the kind of thing because that's the case where the actors aren't being actors; they're being actors.
Shakespearean actors.
Yeah, sort of. Are you actually on the subject of
if Derek Jacobi had a massive ego? He seems like that.
Derek Jacobi, thankfully, does seem to be a very humble person, though. Thank God. Yeah. It's kind of refreshing then that most famous actors are pretty humble people, because otherwise they'd be insufferable.
Like Samuel L. Jackson, who just seems like a really normal. He just seems like a normal guy.
Samuel L. Jackson in interviews always comes across as like your cool friend. Yeah. I also used to love Ben Mendelsohn. If you ever see him in interviews, he's really funny.
Have you seen that interview where it's like he has to answer questions like, does Samuel Jackson like anime? It's like, yeah. Hentai too.
Oh yeah, where he goes Samuel Jackson like anime. Yeah, hentai too. What's the one?
Which he is a really big fan of that. He made one himself.
Oh yes.
And which is like a samurai with an afro, and it's apparently great.
Oh yes, I need to find that. He kept the
with the lightsaber.
Yeah, and
I got that out.
Yeah, and Aurebesh, which is sort of the written language for the Star Wars films. That is carved on the sign, and it translates to "badass motherfucker."
I think that's on his wallet in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And then again,
that was probably him. He wrote that bit.
Yeah, that sounds like him. He also specifically requested the purple lightsaber because it's his favorite color. Though, this is incidentally why Mace.
As we know, purple and brown go well.
This is incidentally also why Mace Windu is the most badass Jedi, because Samuel L. Jackson. He's also the originator of some great lines. I mean, the amount of ways you can edit the say what again, motherfucker scene with just different words. So it's like, say ye again, motherfucker. I dare you. I double dare you. Ye.
Ye.
And what's the line? I can't remember which film it is from, but one of his best lines is like, someone says to him something like, what, don't you nip a virgin on the ear before you penetrate them? And he just completely replies, straight face with, no, I punch them in the jaw and yell, pop goes the weasel.
I don't know.
I can't remember which film that's from, but it's fucking hilarious. But anyway, we're not talking about why Samuel L. Jackson's great. And honestly,
we are. But
yeah, because he is great. And if you're
we're
listening,
an hour in, and
if you're listening
like half an hour of this has just been going off topic.
And if you are listening, Mr. Jackson, thank you, and you are great. But we're here to talk about Blade Runner, and I think we've said everything we can about the first one, so let's go to 2049.
Alright, so 9 for you, 6 for me. Punch me in the face and pop goes the weasel. Blade Runner 2049, The Second Coming of Christ. apparently.
Gotta admit, it has been getting insanely good reviews.
This always happens with me, like every year. Always with Ryan Gosling as well.
Well, I'm sorry, but Ryan Gosling is a very good actor.
He's the most boring screen presence in Hollywood at the moment, honestly.
What the fuck? Are you thinking about a different fucking Ryan Gosling or something?
Yeah,
we're thinking of the same person, right?
It's like that fucking Joker twist where there's 3 of them. It's like there were 3 Ryan Goslings. It's like Nice Guys Ryan Gosling, where he's actually funny. There's like La La Land one where he's just not good. Like the same expression the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, no.
Okay, he can smile, yeah.
Wow, Ryan Gosling can smile. That's a revelation.
He can talk, but he's not. He's just Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling.
And then there's Blade Runner where he's actually all right.
Yeah, he's good in 24/9. Though he does sometimes...
Although he has pretty much the same expression, but he's a replicant. So
yeah, give him a chance. Actually, that's also something I'm really glad they didn't spoil in the trailers. The fact that his character is a replicant.
They just outright say it as well.
That's the thing. It's just, and I also think that's the point, because like the thing it makes of what's happened in between is like the rise of the Wallace Corporation and the new generation of like non-rebellious replicants.
I guess it kind of adds
unrestrained
in the theme of
racial integration and stuff.
You don't even know who.
Yeah, that makes it far stronger, because now the replicants are obedient, and they also have their lifespans aren't restricted anymore. They can live a long natural life. So it really is possible for a person to be a replicant. I also think the way that the whole sort of the key, as it were, to the key to everything in Wallace.
Lois Lane is the key.
No, she's not. Fuck Lois Lane. There's this, like I say, Wallace's plan is that, as he puts it, every major innovation in human history was built on the back of a disposable workforce. But
Roman Empire.
Yeah, and as he puts it, humanity has lost
America.
Yeah, Mexican.
I'm not wrong.
Mexican migrant workers, and
actually black slaves, but
both of them. They're sort of the modern generation. But as he puts it, humanity has lost its taste for slavery, and the whole idea that he's not
tasty slave meat.
His plan is quite literally that replicants make as he puts it, replicants are the perfect slave race, but they can't reproduce independently, and they don't have the facilities to manufacture the millions that will be required to bring humanity.
Beds, like the facilities for fucking.
No, as in literally, because that's the point. But up until that point, they haven't been able to get it so replicants can reproduce. So they have
I'm guessing that was the weird like pickled onion packet thing where the human came out.
Yeah,
like a slimy pickled onion.
That was like the point. Replicants would be the perfect slave race, but they can't reproduce independently, so they have to manufacture them, which is a far more long-winded and costly process.
It was like in the book Monster Inside, where they think, if we put the male and the female prisons together, they'll reproduce and we'll have an infinite workforce.
Yeah, breeding
which
stock.
Is really funny.
Yeah, I mean, okay, admittedly, when you are putting a prison full of teenage boys and a prison full of teenage girls together, you're probably going to get something happening, but whether it's reproduction, that's another question.
Premature ejaculation for the win.
Why does that sound like it's something from your personal experience?
I want that on a t-shirt. Premature ejaculation for the win.
That's like the point, the replicants are the great... That replicants can't reproduce independently, so they're not feasible as a workforce. And finding how to do it is the final step in bringing humanity to its true greatness, or at least he believes. And I think that's actually a pretty convincing villain motivation as things go, to be honest.
Yeah.
I could buy that.
Even though he showed up for like 3 scenes.
Yeah, he's a very sort of... I like that too. He's a very shadowy presence. Plus, Jared Leto was able to film all his scenes in like 2 days. He never leaves that one set.
I know, and he actually blinded himself, which I found incredibly funny.
Well, not like literally stabbed needles in his eyes.
No, but he temporarily blinded himself.
Yeah, with the contact lenses. No, I gotta admit, that is sort of that is his style of method acting. Because when a character is blind...
I was always just... Can you act? Like, actually act? Because...
Well, actually, that's why one of the reasons... No, give me a chance. That is one of the reasons I like this. Because, turns out Jared Leto can actually be a pretty good actor.
He won an Oscar. So
fair enough. He is. I mean, his presence is minimal.
Although, to be fair, after his Oscar-winning performance, his next role was as the Joker in Suicide Squad. So you know where his career is going.
You wouldn't be blamed for thinking that. I gotta admit, I've seen his bits of Suicide Squad, and he is really awful in that film. But in this one, he's really good.
But he's not bad at acting. He's just really embarrassing.
Nah, you see, he was in that. He was just bad. But in this one, he's a genuine sort of. He actually feels like a presence and quite a sort of unnerving one too.
Yeah.
But he's also a
bit rapey.
He's a bit rapey.
Bit
rapey. To put it. But the other way he sort of acts is like what's the way to put it?
Eyeballs with a slight bit of rape.
Yeah, the sort of the way. He also, like, even when you can't see him, you feel like events are sort of happening under his control and supervision.
Feels like he's pretending to be God.
Yeah, he really does. He really comes across as, like, Wallace, his character. I don't know what his first name is, actually. But, like, Mr. Wallace.
William.
Really, sure.
William Wallace.
That makes sense. I feel William Wallace is a historical figure, too. I'll look that up.
Freedom fighter.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Braveheart.
That was it. But,
although most of my knowledge from him comes from that horrible history song.
As long as it's not coming from the Mel Gibson movie.
No.
No, but
Don't tell Bird Person he won the Oscar.
yeah, the Oscar party. But Wallace, yeah, he's clearly developed a god complex, which is kind of what you'd expect from someone who can literally create life.
Yeah.
You know, it's but again, I feel like this one feels like a good sequel because it doesn't just do some of the things the first one did, it progresses them. Because the world has evolved and changed in those 30 years, and more importantly, it explores far more deeply the themes that we're hinting at. Like the very nature of what makes a person human, their memories. But if they're not your memories, does that make you? Or, you know,
does that make you somebody else? Does that make you Bob down the street? Does that make you a cat? Does that make you the rapist uncle's church dog?
Yeah,
does that make you the poster on your wall? Does that make you the random shit that probably fell out your cereal bowl in the middle of the morning when your eyes are blurry and kind of your vision was spotty, so it fell on the floor and you can't be asked to pick it up in the morning? It's like it's just been kind of stuck in the carpet and the milk's stained, and when you try and get a new carpet, it's just there.
Why do I feel like all of your analogies turn into sort of the annoying personal problems you have?
I don't know.
Still, but I mean, yeah, it's sort of the examination of sort of the nature of sort of, and again, I think that theme's looked at in both, you know, Ryan Gosling's character's memories not being his own, and of course the thing with Addy, he's aware they're not his own memories, but sort of that's the thing though, he's aware they're not his own memories, and then when he discovers they might be, he suddenly gets really, you know, it really affects him. And then he's absolutely crushed when he realises they
like the one bit of
fake.
acting he actually does in the film.
Yeah,
rather than just staring.
He realises he can be quite a presence, but I mean that's the moment
he can look constipated and try and cry.
Yeah, but I mean that's
like he's having a shit. But
that's sort of that moment when, you know, he thinks those actually were his and he did actually live that life, and then it's utterly crushed. It's kind of depressing, really. But it's
like just kind of
he just loses it. It's just like
he does that but crying.
Yeah, he just rees for a bit. But I quite liked him in it. But yeah, and also it's shown in that, and it's also with the hologram lady, how she is one of hundreds. You know, she's a corporate product, and she's been mass produced, and there are hundreds of others exactly identical to her, but she's gained her unique personality due to the experiences she's had. It's that again. But then of course she's destroyed, deleted, and then when Ryan Gosling encounters a huge sort of hologram version, it looks like her, but it isn't her because it doesn't have all those accrued memories and experiences.
And like the naked hentai thing.
Yeah, like the naked hologram lady
with the blue hair and the pink skin.
Actually, on that subject,
it's Japan, of course there'll be hentai.
Yeah, but at least she's actual like hologram person, not hologram anime.
Hologram hentai.
You know it's going to be a thing. Let's be honest.
I mean, where are all the children? I mean, there's a giant hentai in the sky.
Yeah, there's literally a giant hologram of a naked lady. So I'm just guessing, you know, kids have sort of moved on, I guess.
My puberty.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't notice that thing in general. There's a far greater quantity of titties in
No vaginas though.
No, you got to keep it 15.
Despite the miracle of life. No, you can get vaginas in like 50 Ex Machina. There's full frontal, like from multiple angles.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
And to 15.
Nah.
No drug use, I don't think.
It's kind of
It's drug use, gore, nudity, and language.
Yeah, this is the four factors, and I really think, as we said,
there's a bit of language, so that'll be 50, the nudity as well. Bit of gore.
Touch of gore.
Yeah, a touch of gore.
The gore's mainly just spurts of blood from people getting shot, and also
like stab.
Yeah, it's
like when he creates the thing, and then
it's just like.
Are we going spoilers? Because everyone who has seen...
Come on, we've been spoiling stuff for like the whole way through, haven't we? Think about it.
I meant with the new one because we haven't really done much for the new one.
Well, we did mention the whole thing about the memories.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
if you've seen, you would have. I'm
gonna put a spoiler warning in the title of this. You would
have seen it anyway.
Yeah, it's just like, I've created this new replicant. I'ma stab it. No, I think that's more of symbolic of his general frustration.
I think he was trying to test it was fertile or not.
No, I think it was more just to make a point. Because his character seems like the kind of guy who would shank a person just to make a point.
Shank.
Stab. Stabby stab.
I'm just thinking of a podcast where somebody who never watched Harry Potter before was just questioning why doesn't Voldemort just go into Hogwarts and shank Harry in his sleep? Or which he could have done if he wanted.
Of course, you realise, I feel like the whole Wizard War thing in Harry Potter would kind of... It doesn't
exactly make a lot of sense.
No, it would be way more...
Magic doesn't exactly have a lot of rules.
It's not very... It's far worse in the movies, though. They don't maintain the rules at all. But in the books, it's a bit more consistent. But honestly, they could have... Dumbledore's army could have just won the whole Wizarding War thing, and they just, instead of defending Hogwarts with spells, just, I think, honestly, you could kill Voldemort with an AK-47, right? Just, he just goes, Avada, bang, dead. There's these things called guns, right, Dumbledore?
And
you've heard of them.
With the Room of Requirement, it gives you what you require. Anything.
I thought the Room of Requirement gave you more what you wanted. Or, well, rather, what you thought you needed. Because that's how it would operate, right? And let's not get into this, that's a topic for another day.
I mean, Ron would have got a penis, but no, we didn't.
He thought he required the D. But
we got the D in that one.
No D. No dick for you, Ron.
It's in 2D.
Oops.
Right. Let's not talk about Ron Weasley's dick.
Let's not talk about Ron Weasley.
That's for Hermione. Or Black Hermione now. That was...
Oh yeah, she's black now.
That was.
I don't care less, to be honest.
No, I mean, I just
honestly, I think they mentioned actually they didn't cast her because she was black. They cast her because they thought she was the best. They casted her as they changed the race for the right reason because he thought she was the best actress to play Hermione, and her being black was a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just they didn't mind because...
And that's how you should do diversity.
It's like
don't have it for
It's
diversity.
the book, not the films. It's never
it's
specifically said either.
No, it's never actually specifically mentioned that Hermione's white.
Oh, maybe they might have mentioned it. I doubt it, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
might have been like one word.
Yeah, that's more a touch.
You could pass off for something else.
Yeah, I think they also I think that's why they did it well in general. Okay, so diversity is fine. Diversity for the sake of diversity is not. Cast an actor based on how good they are, not what their gender or race is. Then, if they happen to be, Asian lesbian or whatever, fair enough. As long as they're good, that's what matters. I feel okay. I've got off my soapbox now.
You know what I find? Going off topic for a minute. You know how people say, did I everything mention this? It's like in his XX review. It's like horror directors, why there aren't so many. Maybe females are just less interested in horror.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit most of the
because that's probably true.
Most of the ladies I know don't really have a cat.
Don't know any? I know you don't.
Yes, I do.
How many?
What, do you want me to fucking count on my hand?
Go on. You probably can't even count on your pinky.
Most of the ones I know are either kind of a bit ambivalent towards it or don't really like it. You know, yeah, maybe just people have less of an interest. Maybe there are just fewer female directors with an interest in horror films. I don't know.
Try and name any. There was like Rachel Talalay directed one of the Friday the 13th films.
Yeah, she was. She
Part
directed.
6. I only found that out yesterday,
and
despite having watched them all.
She was also quite heavily involved in the production of the first Nightmare on Elm Street. She was one of the production assistants.
Oh, right.
So you know she's got some experience.
And then it's like her and the person who wrote Jennifer Kent, who did the Babadook.
Oh yeah,
that's about.
You mean the Babadook, not the Babadook?
The Babadook.
I would watch the Babadook though. Like it's the same film, but
you can pronounce it either way.
But but the main character is like terrorized by a demonic duck. Just goes quack.
The Babadook has a book which says cook. It says the
Babacook.
The Babadook has a the Babadook has a book which says lib cook.
Yeah, the Babadook is like a. Well, personally, I don't think diversity of films is that bad. You're a libtard cook. Quack.
Quack.
You know, I'm just saying, maybe, you know, J.K. Rowling's political opinions aren't all bad. You're a wine knight.
Blade Runner.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten what I'm talking about.
You were just said.
I was looking up well-known best female directors to see if I recognised any. I don't. But yeah,
2, 3.
On the subject of females,
doesn't look like a female.
Oh, savage. On the subject of females, I think we should also bring this round back to Blade Runner, talking about Jared Leto, Love, the replicant, Jared Leto.
Oh yeah, that
Wallace's sort of henchwoman, for want of a better word, I think. Because really, the thought. Because really. Why do I want to see an edit of Blade Runner where every mention of replicant is replaced with thought?
It's just the first word that appears in Blade Runner 2049 is just thoughts in reds.
Yeah, it's just like thoughts. And Blade Runner is instead thought hunters. Yeah, it's
pussy snatchers.
Because the thing is, her character, I think, really is more of the main antagonist.
Yeah, she
like
has
Wallace is the villain.
She's like the Bond henchman who does more than the actual Bond villain.
Yeah,
which is pretty much the case in every Bond film anyway.
Yeah, apart from Skyfall, doesn't really do that, does it?
No, it doesn't. The guy Bond is more of a henchman himself anyway.
Yeah,
he acts more like one. He actually gets his hands dirty.
Yeah, Bond gets his hands dirty, which is one of the sort of interesting things about his character, especially Daniel Craig. But back to the point. And the point was that I think...
That was Javier Bardem, which I just realised.
In what?
Skyfall.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Blade Runner!
Can we talk about Javier Bardem? A.K.A. the creepiest actor ever. Well, seriously,
what about Michael Rosen?
Michael Rosen isn't an actor, he's a god. No, because Javier... I mean, if you've ever watched No Country for Old Men, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I haven't.
I have seen bits and he's insanely creepy.
Right.
Like, he's super intimidating.
Blade Runner!
Yeah, because I think Love in 2049 really has more of a Darth Vader thing going on. Think about it, right? I think it's a win and do it. Original Star Wars trilogy, the big villain is the Emperor, but you barely see him for most of the films, and the real main antagonist is Darth Vader. And I think it's the same here. Yes, Wallace is the big villain, but she's really the main antagonist because she's seen more and comes into direct combat with our protagonist more, including that really brutal fight at the end. Which I gotta admit, I was expecting.
The first Blade Runner doesn't really have a villain because I mean
Roy
he's as much as a villain as he's as much as a hero as Deckard.
Yeah, Deckard really isn't. Neither of them.
Deckard kills more people than he does.
Deckard isn't really a hero either, and Roy isn't really a villain. Deckard is. He's killing people.
Roy kills one person, I think. 2.
One that you see, though. It's mentioned that they've killed others, but yeah, he kills.
Deckard kills like 10.
He kills Tyrell and Sebastian, doesn't he? Deckard kills. No, Deckard just kills the other replicants. I don't think he kills anyone else. But again, I think the point is more like they're what's the phrase? Deckard isn't really a hero and Roy isn't really a villain. Deckard, how do you put it? He's murdering people basically. He's killing independent, free-thinking people who only want their freedom. And Roy is really trying to release his race from slavery. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's a great sympathetic villain. And I mean, but the ending of 2049, especially with the really brutal fight between Ryan Gosling and Love, is actually particularly memorable because for me, I'd really taken a hatred towards her by that point.
Oh yeah.
And I was really I was expecting a lot of satisfaction upon her death, but actually I was kind of sad because watching her get strangled underwater is pretty
brutal.
Yeah,
it was really satisfying. That was pretty much. I think it was the only point in the film where I felt like I was really actually invested. I liked the film.
I was invested for most of it, but that was the point, where because you can sort of see where and it's like Deckard sort of keeps getting submerged in the water and actually trying to pull himself up.
It was one of the few things where I was actually, I want to see stuff develop this way.
It's some serious catharsis.
Yeah.
For me, it was very cathartic to see that bitch finally dead, but at the same time, it was also kind of sad watching the life disappear from her eyes as she died in fear, being choked. It's pretty intense.
I like how they bring up that Kay. I'm just gonna call him Kay.
Yes, okay.
Is kind of like this. It shows kind of like the more grey area of being a hero, because he does this with no emotion in his eyes. He just strangles her underwater. Yeah,
he does it. He doesn't seem to show regret or anything.
No,
and that's the thing, and that's also something Deckard really. Deckard only really seems genuinely regretful when he sees Roy die. Otherwise, he just sort of looks at him kind of grimly, and he's just, it's his job. And that's what Kay really does. He just looks at it like it's his job and not much else to him. I mean, he kills way more people than Deckard does, and not just replicants. Actually, no, I'm being a bit racist I'm being a bit replicantist, because the replicants are people, but he kills a lot of humans.
Just kill replicants and people.
He kills a lot.
People and replicants are different in this universe.
Okay, even though they are basically the same. He kills a lot of humans and replicants.
There we go.
Think about it.
How is this getting political?
I don't know. That's also why I like these two films in general. There's a bit of there's sort of a very subtle undertone of race relations, but it never feels forced because it's less about race relations and more about us sort of humans refusing to accept that replicants are us essentially. They have feelings, they have their own minds, and they have their independence. And it's the same thing of and even when people acknowledge that, they don't want to change it. Like the police chief actually said, this world is built up on a wall which separates kind.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Down, down,
down, down,
down, down,
down, down.
But that also sound like this world is built upon a wall that divides kind, and if you tell other kind there isn't a wall, you've bought yourself a war or a slaughter. That's kind of the point,
The wall.
I think. Shut up.
The wall.
Shut up.
The wall.
Shut
the
up.
Wall.
Shut up.
Racism.
Shut up.
The
Fucking
wall.
walls.
Pussy. The wall. Wall. You get it?
I'm sorry.
Wall. Wall. Get it? Wall. Wall. Get it? Wall.
Yes, I get it. He turned it to Donald Trump for a second there.
China. Well, it's a lot like China.
Yeah, actually.
Well, Japan. Oh, I'm a racist now.
Oh no, you confused China and Japan. You're racist. But I mean, what I'm trying to say
They're
is
right next to each other.
Say that to a fucking Japanese person.
They are similar cultures.
They're similar, but they're not the same.
I know. But
just make that clear.
Just saying the Chinese and Japanese is already acknowledging that. Anyway,
what I'm gonna say, the whole thing about the two kinds separated is that even though she can acknowledge the fact that replicants are, they are basically like humans and they should have the same rights, to give them to that would completely tear apart society, which I think more comes to the idea of the was it Plato? There's some Greek philosopher thought of the idea of the virtuous lie, where
Michael Rosen.
No, it wasn't Michael Rosen. He's not a Greek philosopher.
He is.
No, he's not.
He is.
No, I told you, Michael Rosen is our Lord and Savior, not a Greek philosopher.
Yeah, I know. He's everything. He is one. He is all. He is you. He is we. We are all together.
We are all Rosen, of course. But this, and it was the idea of the virtuous lie, which is essentially the idea that, like, of a society like the one I think in Blade Runner, that he's built on a lie. But that lie. Will you shut up?
No.
Just shut up. We built this city on rock and roll, which is a good song. Yeah. Every time I mention Bill, but like that's the point. Society, the entire society that is built on a lie, but the lie has to be preserved because otherwise everything that they created would collapse and cause untold chaos. You know, the case where sometimes revealing the truth would do more harm than good. And it's quite a disturbing idea, really. At least I think so. That's the thing. That's what I said before. I think I like 2049 a lot because it really builds upon the ideas and themes that were discussed in the first one. Plus, it's good. It's got good actors and it's got an interesting. Anything. It's got a more interesting plot than Blade Runner. To be honest.
Here's the problem I have with the film. Way too fucking long, but it justifies it, so I can't criticize it. But it's really long, and I don't like it because of that.
No, I understand not like it. I do think it is probably a bit too long, but at the same time, it doesn't feel...
It works, but it is too long.
No, I think it's overly long, pacing. But it's not stretched out.
Yeah.
It's just long.
It's like Lord of the Rings, where...
yeah, I've got to admit...
Well, you could cut one or two things out of Lord of the Rings.
Gotta admit though, they already cut those. They already cut them down.
They cut more than they needed.
They cut them down really heavily to get them in. Yeah, because there's so much. There's so much crap in the Lord of the Rings books that isn't necessary to the plot. But I mean, gotta admit though, Return of the King does leave me wanting to slit my wrists at the end because of how long it is. Like it is a. Oh gosh.
I wonder what those scars were.
Yeah, what is it? I don't need anyone but you because every time I see you. I cut myself.
What was that, My Immortal?
No, I recall that someone made that joke as a parody lyrics of I touched myself, but it's I cut myself. Which I'm going to remember.
I cut myself.
Yeah, exactly. Right, that's a good one. But yeah, I think the way it
reminds me of 13 Reasons Why. I mean, I relate to the characters in 13 Reasons Why because I also wanted to slit my wrists. Yeah,
but you're not also... One difference. You're not an awful person. When
Neither are most of the people that she puts
exactly.
on the tape.
That's I don't know. 13 Reasons Why I kind
it's
of...
complete bollocks.
I have a lot
The main character, who, spoilers for 13 really shit reasons why, two of which are the same fucking thing. It's just the same thing, but for two people. So
yeah.
I don't...
Honestly,
that's one episode. Basically.
I kind of have, even though
I should have done this in the thing, like the whatever that thing was, the game thing that we did. But side rant, the main protagonist of the entire thing, the 11th person on those tapes, she says, "Oh, you shouldn't be on this tapes." Then why is he on the tapes?
I recall you mentioning this when we were talking about it another
time.
Why?
Why is he? He almost jumps off a cliff because of this.
And I also think that's why I'm opposed.
And the 7th tape, just like she says, "Oh, Justin raped this person while she was drunk," and then everyone else finds out, no, it was Bryce. And then he says, "Oh no, Hannah was right. It was Bryce." No, she didn't. She said it was Justin. What are you talking about? You're getting the whole tape wrong. What are you on about?
That sounds like something that was a symptom of one too many rewrites.
I don't think they wrote it. I think they just made it up as
they just vomited onto a page.
Probably.
They did the Stephen Moffat thing. They smashed their head into
They built up like the main protagonist. "Oh, your tape is awful. It's so horrible." She said she don't need to be on the tape. What the fuck are you on about?
No, did they do the Stephen Moffat school of writing? Smash your head on the keyboard, then autocorrect it.
I think they built it up so much. "Oh, your thing, it's so devastating. It's so wrong." He did literally nothing except for do what she told him. She said, they're about to have sex, and then she says, no, oh no, stop it, go. And then he leaves, and he says, why did you go? Because you told her, you stupid moron!
It's just like, no pussy for me today. Alright then. It's so dumb. So
Blade Runner. Let's go.
Actually, can I just also say about Tony Reeves White? I haven't watched any of it, but I kind of haven't. I
just watched it when I was on holiday because I wanted to justify my reasons. My reasons why.
13, possibly. My real hatred for it comes more from a moral standpoint in the way it glorifies teenage suicide, and that's a bit fucked up.
It doesn't exactly glorify. It glorifies the way that she goes about. It doesn't glorify the actual suicide.
Yeah, but it glorifies the
It actually shows it, which I did skip over because
that's a bit tasteless. To be honest,
it wasn't. It was actually kind of well done.
I don't know. It feels a bit tasteless.
The plot itself is a bit tasteless because it's essentially, if you don't like this, you support teenage suicide.
That's the thing. There's 2 points to make. That's the thing. It glorifies the spiteful, vengeful way she goes about it.
Oh yeah.
And also,
if you were suicidal, you wouldn't do this.
No, if you were suicidal, you wouldn't actually think. A person who commits suicide generally doesn't believe anyone cares about them at all, so they wouldn't do something like that. They just wouldn't. And I've sort of researched this kind of thing, and
he knows from experience.
Yes, because I've tried. No, but that's just not something a suicidal depressive would do, because a person who commits suicide does so because they don't think anyone cares about them, and they don't think anyone will care when they're gone. They don't do it for revenge or out of spite. And the final word we can say about it is, I think, something Gabriel Morton once said, which is
AIDS, full-blown AIDS.
No.
Oh right, that's the one.
That was a different guy.
That's a different Greek philosopher.
Yeah, no, Gabe Morton, who is did the Let's Drown Out podcast with Yahtzee Crowsall, which you should find. It's very good. I would recommend
die
it.
Or something?
No, Yahtzee moved to the United States and Gabe stayed in Australia. And Australian internet's kind of bad, so they couldn't do it through Skype or anything. Really sad as well, because those two were really funny together. But as he once said, no one wants to criticise something about teenage suicide because they're scared the sad sacks will fucking off themselves. And I think it's true.
And Did you say about 13 Reasons Why?
No, he was talking about something else, but it does apply, I think.
That's actually perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's true.
Blade Runner!
Blade Runner's pretty good, yeah. And 2049 is too, actually.
I think they're both on par with each other.
I think Blade Runner is... I think the first one's... I don't know.
I prefer the first one because I can actually watch the first one without wanting to kill myself when I see the runtime. You see, I'll put it this way. 2049, I think, has a better story, but the first one has better world building. Because the first one, the way, as I said earlier on, it goes to so many places, but doesn't really develop all of it in between.
Yeah, 2049 visits a lot of different locations.
It just feels like there's loads of gaps,
but doesn't really flesh them out as much. Whilst normal Blade Runner, which was more due to the budget restrictions, stays down mostly on the streets of this neon-lit futuristic LA, and it feels like a lived-in, detailed world, and that's why I love it.
With the it's like the world building. It's like there's this place where there's full of junk. Yeah, no shit, everything's done that in this situation. But and then it's like, the people that they're scavenging. There's a guy controlling child armies. I swear I've seen that somewhere before. Like somebody's done that before. I have no idea where.
Because think about it. Let's think about the location they go to in 2049. So there's the farming sort of fields in California.
Yeah.
Then they head to. Then obviously there's LA itself.
And the junkyard, which.
Then there's the sort of the sort of scrap
which,
fields.
Of course there is. It's not.
I know. You see, I think kind of. I didn't mind visiting the junkyard. It did.
I didn't mind. It's just. It's a junk. I think loads of things have done it. There's a junkyard.
Yeah, futuristic
junk. Yeah, we get it. Transformers did this.
Of course,
in the 80s.
Pretty much every futuristic society shown in media, you can assume has a huge. It's more like a junk field, really, because it goes on for miles.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Planet of Junk and Transformers. The animated Transformers movie.
I think the Star Wars Expanded Universe has Raxus Prime, which used to be a verdant.
Like real life has it. There's an island full of rubbish.
Yeah, like Raxus Prime, I think in Star Wars Legends used to be a verdant world that is now just a huge planet-sized scrapyard. And honestly though, I don't mind the huge scrapyard thing because it can be a pretty interesting environment, and I didn't mind it here. So yeah, there's the fields outside California, LA, the scrapyard, the Las Vegas ruins, the place that I can't remember where exactly he goes, but to see the daughter, Deckard's daughter. And on another note,
Berlin, pretty much.
I think it's Berlin, yeah, or possibly Russia. What also something
I was joking. It looks exactly like Berlin.
It does have a Berlin kind of.
It's obviously not Berlin because it would take ages to get there.
It does have that sort of East Germany.
Probably a really awkward drive for 8 hours. I think it is from LA to Berlin.
Yeah, of course, flying cars. No, it's got that. But
7 is like
that the building.
UK to US.
Yeah, that building does have that sort of grey concrete Soviet block
the
kind of look.
Holocaust Museum.
Huh. I'll take your word for it. I've never been.
I went. It looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
it's like the snowy and then the kind of steel.
Yeah, the grey, that sort of Eastern European Soviet grey concrete kind of style.
Soviet Russia.
Soviet Russia, strong like steel. Americans weak like marshmallow.
Hard like cock, and soft like pussy. Go together, perfect brick cement.
I also actually, it's worth pointing out that I really love the fact they don't show you Deckard talking to his daughter. It's literally, you don't actually see them interact. Which I really like because it adds more emotional power to the scene because you don't actually know what happens. It leaves it to imagination. Same way as it's not clear whether or not Kay dies. And the same way
I'm pretty sure it's heavily implied that he just dies on those steps.
It's heavily implied that he bleeds out there, yeah. But at the same time, you don't know, and also at the same time, we don't actually know.
I think it would be kind of a fitting end anyway. So
yeah, it's kind of.
I think at one point that was meant to be him dying. So I'm gonna. Go
I get
this.
I'm gonna assume. Let's assume he dies.
Better.
Yeah.
It's just.
Plus, as they say, like what's one of the recurring lines that he thinks about throughout the film is to sacrifice yourself for a greater cause is the most human.
The
thing
greater goods.
No, not quite. But to sacrifice yourself for a greater cause is the most human thing you can do, and he's effectively human.
Yeah.
Get
it?
Sacrificing,
Get
greater
it?
cause. Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah, I know you're making
Get
a hot
it?
fucking Foz reference.
I was talking about that. I was talking about the parallels.
Yeah.
Human and replicants are the same.
Yeah. No, I know. I thought
you
you
think I was trying to
hammer
home that hot fuzz
Yeah,
reference?
I thought you were.
I knew you got it the first time.
I'm missing the point. Yeah, the point. No, yeah, the point is, he gives his life in the most human action one could make, which really sort of blurs the lines between replicants and human.
Yeah.
And they're both persons. And I also think, the fact that you don't see Deckard meet his daughter, you don't actually know whether he dies, so we can assume he does. And more importantly, Wallace is still going to be after them. He's still going to be hunting down Deckard and his daughter. Because he's.
Well, Deckard's dead.
Deckard's off the grid, basically. As far think about it though. As far as everyone in the sort of contingent of flying cars that was heading to the airport to go off world is dead. Deckard and Kay were the only people who left alive. So as far as they know, he is gone and dead.
For all he knows, they got there for a bit, for like a day or two. Until he finds out they didn't.
Yeah, he'd find out they didn't, but he'd have no idea where they go. But I think the point is he would still try and find them, even if he didn't succeed. But it's yeah.
Oh, I get something. I know why Thingy is in that tube all the time. So it's like genetic something.
Oh yeah,
it's because she's a replicant thing.
Yeah, she's got well, apparently she believes
weak immune system.
She was told it was like a really weak immune system, so any exposure. But I think the actual thing was set up to protect her because to ensure that
I think it's
she
just
wouldn't be
because
found.
I think it was her immune system is because she was like a replicant.
Yeah, being a replicant child means that it did sort of mess with her genetics.
So it was because nobody knows apart from those people, and
yeah, barely anyone knows about it. There was there was Rachel who's dead, Deckard, Kay who's
that random cult thing, like the the KKK feminazi cult from the Abominable Brides.
Yeah, like the revolutionary sort of replicant guys.
You'll never see it again.
Yeah, you don't. I felt like there was. I feel like there might have been a plot thread that was going on there that got cut, and they just kept that bit. That felt a bit weird.
I mean, the cut of this thing was hours long.
Yeah, I mean, they were established beforehand because you saw them in like that marketplace area. But
that random softcore like porno scene with like the girl from Hot Fuzz.
That was a bit.
Not Hot Fuzz, Black Mirror.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
And like the essentially a living body pillow.
Waifu embodiment. Waifu.
I'm not wrong. That is essentially what she's made for.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
There's a bit of you buy one as well.
Most people
have sex with it.
A lot of people would. That's the kind of thing, really. The whole hologram deal. And the general sort of sexualization.
You just have one anyway.
Yeah, and also sort of possibly a hint at the sort of general sexualization of like artificial life forms, and I don't know. There's some commentary there.
It's like a sex bot from Rick and Morty where he doesn't care about the sex bot.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
He just still has sex with it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It has weird.
Yeah, the Gazorpazorpian human hybrid thing that's going on.
That was weird.
Yeah, honestly though. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, brilliant visual effects, great sound design as well.
Oh yeah, the Harrison Ford was in it for like he was in it for.
He was only really
20 minutes. Well, half an hour.
Yeah, no, Harrison Ford.
Being generous.
Harrison Ford only really turns up just at the end of Act 2.
And he was a plot device. He was because he got he was there. He went to see him. He got captured. He went to see his daughter. He doesn't actually do anything. He doesn't.
Yeah, he does. No,
what does he do?
Well, he kicks Kay's arse first, and when they're fighting through the nightclub.
Yeah. Apart from that, what does he do?
He also explains what's happened. He gets captured.
Exposition dump. There we go.
Well, no. Yeah, he gets captured. Then he's freed. And he goes to his daughter. Yeah, he doesn't drive the plot much, but at the same time, Harrison Ford's performance is so good, I didn't notice he was basically a plot device and didn't care.
This feels like, I feel like a lot of this stuff is like a lot of cliches and conventions, but it's done in a way where
he does do something. He refuses Wallace's deal.
That's never brought up again.
Yeah, but like Wallace tries to convince him to join him, and he refuses. So he does have some agency.
Fair enough, but it's like a lot of this stuff is convention, but it's done in a way where you might be able to recognize it, but it's done in.
Think about it, though.
Like in that way where he sees the Joy billboard thing.
Yeah,
that's like the end of Act 2, start of Act 3. Oh, the hero's at his lowest point, then he gets back up again because somebody's brought him back up. It's that moment, but done in a different, unique by taking the bandage off.
It's a new take on old cliches. Yeah. I think I do like the what was it?
Denis Villeneuve is a better director than Ridley Scott. He is.
Then again, though, if you look at it.
I mean, he did Arrival, which is amazing. Prisoners, which is
great from what I've heard.
It's better than Arrival. It's amazing. One of the most harrowing things I've ever watched.
All right, but I think more importantly, what we can say about.
Roger Deakins did the cinematography?
Roger Deakins was the cinematographer.
That's it.
And the
He's
cinematography...
been doing a lot of stuff for ages. Like,
Roger Deakins has done loads of cinematography.
Like,
also, on
Shawshank
that note...
Redemption was the earliest one I can remember, actually.
He's done a bunch, but also the cinematography was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It was brilliantly shot. I loved it. Especially...
that orange... Like, the orange...
yeah.
The orange-yellow thing. That was dropped after 20 minutes. That was weird.
Well, I don't think it was weird. Because it was an establishing design style for the interior of the Wallace Corporation headquarters. It wouldn't really make... Yeah. Same with the Tyrell headquarters, you know? You only see that gold-orange thing going on.
Have you noticed a lot of films doing that, like, neon purple thing? Like, have you seen that style? Like, John Wick, like, Moonlight,
I haven't really noticed it, to be honest.
It's that one neon...
Yeah,
it seems to be really popular.
I know what you mean, though.
And I'm just starting to notice it's really apparent now.
I haven't noticed it. But anyway,
It was a bit like that in Blade Runner, but it was loads of colour in that.
I think
surprisingly.
Yeah, Blade Runner was quite.
I want to see what happens to that room where it's just like the reception desk with the weird yellow light, which must be a pain in the arse to work in because that must make you feel ill. Honestly,
he's probably used to it though. Little table embedded keyboard.
Looks like Yellow Bastard from Sin City.
But what was the thing that came to mind? Talking about new takes on old cliches. The plot of when you actually look at Blade Runner, it's got a lot of sort of conventions from 40s noir detective films,
but done in a different, like Chinatown.
A different approach.
You've heard of Chinatown, haven't you?
Chinatown, yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a complete just commentary on like noir films and completely turns it on its head.
Yeah, subversion of the genre.
Yeah, I need to watch that soon. It looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it? But anyway, I think we're sort of reaching final verdict point at this point. So
almost 2 hours, longer than it, and it was shit, but not Blade Runner.
Is shit, but Blade Runner isn't, and you should watch it. Same with 2049.
I would recommend them, but if you have the stomach for 2 hours 45 minutes,
I will say
2 hours and a half, really.
Watch 2049 in a cinema because it deserves to be watched in a cinema.
I think I prefer to watch the original Blade Runner in cinema instead.
I would love to see the original Blade Runner in cinema
mainly because I can tolerate the runtime more. And because I think it looks better, to be perfectly honest. I think it looks better.
Well, you see,
it's like the cinematography is better than the new one.
The cinematography and I think general vision and general production design of 2049 is great. Particularly, I think when they're in the Tyrell Corporation, no, not Tyrell, the Wallace Corporation headquarters, and there's that shot where he's walking down the stairs and there's the glass cases with all the older replicant models in them. I love that shot.
Like Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
It's like, he was at the start. I knew he was in the film. It's like, I didn't realise he'd just be there at the start.
Though, admittedly, he does actually turn out to be kind of important to the plot.
Yeah.
That was the thing I liked.
Because you haven't seen a miracle.
Gets shot.
Gets fought.
I kind of like that touch in general, actually, because when you look at it, like, when you first see that opening sequence, you think it's just going to be a sort of establish the main character, this is what he does thing. Then it turns out it actually kicks off the whole plot. You know, fun. And I also like that this one follows a very strict line of reasoning and course of events. Not so much, because the one of the problems with first Blade Runner is it does rely a bit much on coincidence and stuff. Yeah. But with this one, you know, he kills the replicant guy, then they find the buried remains of Rachel, that they don't know it is yet, and then they track down, then they go to Wallace with the DNA sample, and they get the serial number and all that stuff, which I think was really well done. So, you know. Yeah, final verdicts.
Yeah, Blade Runner 2049, definitely going to have to sit on in terms of it, because I think it helped that within 24 hours I watched both Blade Runners.
Same for me. I actually watched Blade Runner this morning.
Did you actually? I thought you watched it last night.
I watched partway through last night, but I went down to eat my tea and never really got into finishing it. So I watched the rest this morning. I watched the first 25 minutes, came back to it like midnight or something. At 11. I watched the rest of it. I had a bit of a problem with the first hour engagement. After that point, it got good. But yeah, so it was fresh in my mind.
The second half's better.
Oh yeah, no, the second half's great. Especially the climax is truly intense.
The climax is brilliant. Honestly.
Yeah, it's the intense. I feel like both of them have a pretty good climax because they're both close quarters, claustrophobic.
Did you notice
fights.
A lot of scenes from in the new Blade Runner are just the scenes from the old one, but kind of changed enough to make it. Yeah.
Kind of like the shot of the flying car moving across the solar farms parallels to one of the flying car going through LA.
And and when he's looking for information about this something on the street.
Yeah, and he goes to the guy on the street, and it's the same. Yeah, I know.
And this analyst in the street who probably should be in the street for an analyst.
Well, I think the point is that kind of technology is so commonplace you can just go to a street vendor to do it now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting touch, and it's good world building. But yeah, so I gave Blade Runner 9, you gave Blade Runner 6, so what would you give Blade Runner 2049?
6, and you're going to give the new one a 9. Parallels! Get it? Parallels!
Actually, as much as I hate to say this, I think I'm going to have to give the new one 2049 an 8.
No! Parallels! No!
I'm breaking the system! I rebel! I'm just saying, it should... I would consider them equals, but I feel like Blade Runner is a bit better at the world building. That's the only difference.
We both agree Blade Runner is AIDS, Blade Runner 2049 is AIDS. We can all go die in a hole. Replicants for the win. Communism for the win. Trump is awful, but Bush is eat my bush. And
he's lost his train of thought now because I'm laughing at eat my bush.
Yeah. And Bush
did 9/11.
Ryan Gosling likes to wank Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford likes to wank old films he was in. Indiana Jones, Force Awakens, Blade Runner. It's all the same to me. It all looks the same. It's all the same thing. All die. 13 Reasons Why is like Second Coming of Christ, or 13th, depending on how much you like puns. And 2049 is the 2039th Coming of Christ. Blade Runner is the first one, or it's the second coming. I don't know. Maybe there's been a third. Maybe there's been a fifth. I don't know about a 569th, but you never know. It could be Jesus then.
Of course.
It could be the Jewish one. Whenever that thing comes.
I've got one problem, though. I feel like we didn't have the right context because we didn't watch the 2047 films in between those two.
Shit, we didn't, do we?